Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and the wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. And today we're with Mike, and we're gonna talk today about branding, about marketing, and about a strategic partnership. But also, we're going to discuss what are the 5 steps that people can do in order to achieve and to get the first million. So, first of all, Mike, I think that you have been working with companies like from Harley Davidson to Nike. So can you please introduce yourself and share your story with us?
Yeah, my name is Mike Brevick, and I am the owner and chief marketing officer at CyberDogs Marketing. And yeah, I've been in and around the marketing industry for almost 30 years and worked with throughout my career at different stops along the way, worked with some big brands like Nike, Under Armour, Harley Davidson, Milwaukee Tool, places like that. And when I started my own agency in 2015, the goal was to kind of, to have fun and be creative and kind of cultivate new paths within the marketing industry. But it was also to take a lot of those experiences, good and bad, and kind of create a unique experience for our clients and really focus and steep our efforts on the creativity side.
So why you decide in 2015 to open your own company? I think that this is something that is very risky thing to do. So what drive you to take this step and to build and to open your own company?
I mean, to be honest, I just wanted to have fun in my career again. I had spent a long time throughout my career in printing and design and corporate job and working for some big retailers in the Midwest. And I just kind of looked in the mirror and thought, well, can I buckle down here and do this for the next 20 years? Or do I take this opportunity to kind of hit reset, have some fun and do some things with my career and my experiences? And it's interesting because one of the things that I did before I started my business is I took a free, it was basically a consulting meeting with a business coach. And one of the things I asked him was, I painted him the picture of my dilemma, and I was at this crossroads, but I kind of was asking for his advice on whether or not I should do this. Because anytime you start a business, I mean, it's a risk and it's a lot of work, and anybody that's done it will tell you it's not easy. And he asked me one simple question, and it's not like a real brain buster question, but it was kind of profound at the time. And his question was, are you employable? And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I mean, if you got fired today, could you get a job? I'm like, yeah, I think so. And he's like, well, then why wouldn't you try this? So the next day I put my notice in, and here we are almost, 9+ years later, still doing it. So I'm still trying it. And, if it doesn't work out, I go get a job, but I don't really see that happening at this point.
I think that this is amazing because I think that in the normal path of the career, right? It's like that question: are you employable, right? And this comes with a lot of factors because it is involved your lifestyle, is involved your skill sets, and and also our experience. What sometimes happens that is pretty sad is that people learn how to do one job and that's the only job they know how to do, and then they are fired
Yep.
and they are not employable anymore, and they don't know how to create their own company and to develop their own business because now maybe it could be too late. So I think that you took the right step at the right time to go for it, and here we are. So in 2015 you started the company. So what was the biggest challenge? Building your team, finding the clients. What was the biggest challenge that you faced when you start to build your own company?
Yeah, and just to add on to what you were just saying too, I'm somebody who loves a good challenge. So if I feel like I'm being doubted, or if people think I'm not going to succeed, that's just fuel for me. So on that first day when I woke up, self-employed or unemployed, depending on how you want to look at it, the first challenge was, what do I do next? How do I get this started? And I knew I had the skills, and I knew I had, the ability to build relationships and to kind of um, figure it out. But when you're starting at zero, you're staring at a blank canvas. So, upon the onset, my first kind of, you know, um, brain buster, so to speak, at the time was that I need to start kicking over some rocks and find work. I need to get out there. I need to meet people. I need to, basically get this ball rolling. And I looked at it like I'm pushing a ball uphill. Once I get it rolling, I can't stop. So for me, I always wanted to build not just an agency that, paid me on a recurring basis, but I wanted to build a brand. I wanted to build something that I believed was sustainable, and something that I could be proud of, and something that I could kind of champion as I'm out there trying to build this agency. So building the brand really was the first step for me. And what does that mean? What does that look like?
Exactly.
Really defining those details. And then as the brand kind of came to fruition, I looked at it like, I have to champion this thing. So it sounds silly, but like I literally went out there and I got gear made. When I started networking and really going out there and meeting people, I was fully branded from head to toe. Like I had my CyberDogs hat on, my backpack, whatever it was, because I needed to make this thing look as legitimate as humanly possible, whether it was 10 days old or 10 years old. So I really focused on the brand, and kind of creating a first impression was my first step. And then, a second, step 1.2, if you want to call it, was to just get out there and start meeting people, to start networking, and to start to kind of get out there and make myself, part of the conversation. And really at that point, I will say too, that through those conversations and through that, brand building process for myself, as much as I thought I knew when I put my notice in and quit my job, I needed that next step to help refine my own thoughts and to kind of figure out, well, who am I going to be in this whole thing? What is CyberDogs? So that and it's, some of it comes out of fear in a way, because, you're out there trying to hunt and trying to build something from nothing. But, um, you get kind of backed in a corner and you have to figure yourself out quick.
So let's talk about branding, yeah, because branding is something that everybody said, okay, this is the brand, right? But not so many people know what is behind this word, what it really means.
Yeah.
And in your particular case, I mean, you've been working for the biggest companies in the world, very successful, that they have very, very solid brands. So what do you took in consideration to build your own brand, and what was the most important element that you look at when you design, this is going to be my company, but I'm designing this brand, and this is what we are going to represent, what is the mission, the vision, what people will experience when they are landing CyberDogs.
Yeah, a lot of people relegate a brand down to just the logo, right? They think the logo is the brand. And they're
Exactly.
like, "Oh, I like your brand." And it's like, "Well, that's my logo. That's not my brand." Um, but it's a huge part of it. And everything that rolls up in the brand it is your logo, it's your colors, it's your positioning, it's your voice, maybe it's a smell even. There's a lot of things that can roll up into what a brand is. But when creating a brand, I think there's a very big importance that needs to be put on the authenticity of the brand. So the word branding, authenticity, these are words in the marketing industry that get overused. I think they get watered down to a degree where people don't even really know what they mean.
Exactly.
But for me, the authenticity piece is that you share so much of your personal journey, your growth, your path. All of this is an ingredient. They're all ingredients in this brand soup that you're making, so that by the time the brand kind of comes to fruition and comes to be, there's so much of you personally and part of your journey in it that it just naturally takes on kind of all those different attributes and the pieces of the person who created it, which the byproduct of it is then a love for it. So that you have a commitment, a confidence, and a love for that brand, so that when you go out and market yourself and market your company, or even build it to the point where other people are marketing it for you, there's a very true connecting point there as to how it kind of touches your soul in a way of, this is what our brand is about. This is how we got here. This is the journey that it took to get here. And I don't think that that should be overlooked. A lot of times people just want to whip together a logo and just, let's get rolling. That's all they do. And whatever, to each their own. But for those who take the time to really cultivate something that has a deeper meaning and a almost like a feeling behind it, they come out of the gate that much stronger, and their belief in what they're doing is that much bigger, and their ability to sustain tough times is deeply rooted in the fact that they're entrenched, connected, and believing in that brand. And I don't think that that should be overlooked. And for those who understand that, I think they get it. But I wish everybody got that, because I think it's really, really important, especially if you're cultivating something from nothing. Like, even we take it for granted, like with the Nikes and the whoever, we take it for granted because they're just huge. So that we're just like, yeah, it's Nike or whatever, and we kind of blow it off as it's just this big thing. When deeply rooted, if you do your homework, Nike started, they were selling tennis shoes out of a trunk of a car. They took some big gambles, big swings, and Phil Knight himself, put his blood, sweat, and tears, and even, financially his life on the line to get that brand where it
Build that
is.
brand, yeah.
Right. So if you do that homework, like, and you think about the sacrifice and just the belief he had in what he was doing, I mean, I think you'd be foolish to believe that that wasn't part of their success.
Exactly. And then, if a normal issue that we have with entrepreneurs is that most of the entrepreneurs, they start the business by accident, right? So they create a product, they sell it, they make a profit, and there you go, they are in business. And they just choose, they go there, they pay £5 for a logo, and they said, okay, and this is my brand, and they continue selling the product and services until the point that maybe the business can get a certain return. And wow, but once, if you have your branding wrong, I'm talking about personal experience that happened to me.
Yep.
And the rebranding cost me over £250,000.
Yeah.
So when back in the day, I'm talking maybe 15 years ago, we didn't know what brand means. We didn't know anything. We just became an entrepreneur by accident, right? And we
Yep.
just thought that that was a good idea to put any name to the company, any logo. Don't worry about that, and let's go for it. Oh, good. And the rebranding process was painful. It was very expensive exercise. So yeah, I agree with you that the step number one that everybody should take if they are open your company, right? The company is to establish a solid brand. I think that looking back now, is if you put the train in the right track and it goes, it's gonna fly. But oh my god, if you had the train in the wrong track and this train already halfway, and then you have to stop, go back, put in a different track. Oh my god, this is a very, very expensive exercise. I'm talking by my own experience. And this is something not only in the logo, but
Yep.
in the mission, the vision, and also the businesses out there that already have the brand developed. Would be a very good idea to get a consultant like you with a lot of experience to actually look at it, because sometimes you can make a small correction. I mean, we have companies, right,
Yep.
that have done some adjustments to the branding, and have make a huge difference. I think Facebook, the original name was the Facebook.
Yep.
Someone on the line removed the D, and I think there is one, the company LG that everybody knows before used to be Gold Star, and
Yep.
it was Gold Star for years and years and years, and they did rebranding for LG, right?
Yep.
So sometimes um, the companies out there, right? They need a polishing in the brand, and not only in the logo, not only but in what that brand represents. And I think
I
that what you just showed with us is very important. Like, be clear, okay? What do you want to do? What do you want to represent? What will be your differentiation in your marketplace? But do build a brand, yeah, or well, build the brand, because the brand's always it never ends. It's an
what
ongoing process.
one of the
But
things one of the
go
things you
ahead,
got
go
to
ahead.
I was just going to say one of the things you got to think about is, and it's a metric you can't quantify, but like as entrepreneurs and as business owners, a lot of times you'll come to this place where I can't afford a big brand build out, or I can't afford whatever, because you're looking at all these other numbers where you're spending money and you're trying to figure out, if it's a priority right now and whether or not I can afford it. But what I always tell companies and entrepreneurs is that you have to think about the missed opportunity of having a bad brand. You're probably, maybe maybe you're cranking out a great product. Maybe you're a great business person. Maybe you've got a great, kind of concept in mind. But if your brand is bad and it's not a brand that, commands attention, or it's not collecting audience, there's probably opportunity passing you by on a daily basis because of that gap in your process. And that's a number that it's hard. You don't know what that number is, but I would bet it's a lot. And just for point of observation, like look at the look at the big brands that are in I mean, whether it's the food industry or sporting goods or whatever it is, it's not a mystery that they've all bought into this concept. Now, I know not everybody can spend like Nike or whatever, but it's just the idea of importance. If it didn't matter, you wouldn't see these companies doing it.
I mean, you're right, 100%, and it's a debate that is going on and on and on, because the people say, well, what is the point to have a good brand, or to have a good logo, to have a good brand, right? And
Yeah.
it's very difficult to quantify how much money you can make, or if this is really important. When I when I uh, we train entrepreneurs how to speak in public, right? And some part of the thing is to create the branding name, the brand speech. We also own a book publishing company that we work with the personal brand of the authors, and we make an analogy with the people, because if you go, for example, Nike, for example, right? If you go there, how much is gonna be the pair of training? It's gonna be trainers. Maybe it's gonna be $150, right? Or maybe $120. But there are stores there in US that I have been when I'm visiting there, that you can get a pair of trainers for $12.
Yeah.
So why people are willing to pay 10 times more for something that maybe it's not 10 times better, but what they're willing to pay, we're not talking about double, we're not talking about triple, we're talking about 10 times more. And it happens in every industry. In the mobile phone industry, get how much is an iPhone and how much it is another phone. You can buy a phone for $100, $150, pretty much do 98% what an iPhone does. However, we all prefer to spend maybe 8 times, 9 times, right? And everybody is willing to and happy to pay 2, 3, 5, 10 times for those products because of the brand. And we always have the conversation, but what is a brand? What is it, right? And I think that we arrived to a conclusion that the brand is the authority that those products has in the marketplace. Everybody want to spend $150, 120 Nike because those brands have positioned themselves as the authority in the marketplace. So when you think running shoes, you think on Nike. When you see luxury cars, you think Rolls Royce. When you think mobile phones, you think an iPhone, right?
Yep.
And you're exactly right. Companies think the people with the starting up business, they think, oh, but I don't have billions or millions of multi-million pound dollars to invest in build a brand like Nike. But what they can do, yes, is work with someone like you that we define a brand that we gave them a certain level of authority, right?
Yep.
And for a fraction of the cost, they can have a niche, right? Where
Yep.
they can be positioned themselves as authority, and without even realizing, they can be charging 4, 5, 7 times what they're charging right now. So how much money this is really is, because let's face it, and nobody buys the cheapest thing. No one.
No, and
Only
every
only 10-20%. Nobody buys the cheapest thing. We think, oh, let's the entrepreneurs, the first idea that they have, they open a business. Okay, let's put it very cheap. Don't worry about the logo. Don't worry about the brand. Well, it's a huge problem because it's gonna be very, very difficult to sell the cheapest thing. Because when you look at the buying behavior, 80% of us don't buy by price. Otherwise, we all will be driving the cheapest car. We will wearing the cheapest clothes, and that's not the case,
yeah.
right? So what the buyer is looking is for value for the money, and what is the level of expertise that this product or authority and credibility that this product have in the marketplace, right? And the only way that you can define that if you have a brand. So yeah, it's true that we cannot count exactly how much more money you can make. But like I said, if every product that they sell out there, can you imagine that they can charge 5, 7 times more
Yep.
for the same thing and keeping the same volumes? You're talking about huge. That's why branding is really, really important. And I think that if all this talk do is for our listening to understand the power of branding, the power behind the brand and building a brand, and how financially rewarding is if you know how to uh, tell the story, how your product is different, what is your level of expertise, and why your product can sit as one of the biggest in the authority in the marketplace. You're gonna be looking at the good number. Of course, the product needs to have quality, right? This is part of a good brand, and this is also part of the branding. And so you cannot have a good brand if your product is not good, because then you're not gonna have repeating customers, right? So okay, Mike. So the first step is to build a solid brand, yeah. And then, like you said, 1.2 is to go out there and network to get those first clients, yeah. But what can we do next?
I
We
think
build
the
the
next
brand, we have the product already, the mission, the vision, the logo. It looks like a Rolls Royce. Everybody already can arrive to your website, Mike, and say, okay, this guy, this is the expertise in the marketplace. He can do this, and this for me. So what's the next
Yep, and
step?
just to recap that step one, I think, it's about setting clear and ambitious goals and belief, because that branding piece, it's a gut check of your own belief of what you're doing. So the whole branding thing, to me,
There you
that's step
go.
one.
It's a
Um,
reflection of you, right?
yep, yep, and
It's who you are, right?
yeah, and then you gotta trust that people can see through that. If you come out with a good brand and you've got a sense of belief about you and you've got a confidence about
I
you,
agree.
that swagger comes through and people buy into that.
I
So that's
agree
step
100%.
one. Step two is you got to take big swings. You got to be ambitious. You have to throw goals out there and ideas out there, and you got to work towards those goals. What I see
For
a lot of
example,
entre well, like what I see a lot of entrepreneurs do is they live 1 or 2 days at a time. They start hitting networking groups and they're just living one or 2 days at a time, just seeing where those days take them. And all of a sudden they fall into a rut or a pattern where they're doing the same thing over and over again for a stretch of months. And it's not to say they don't find little pockets of success in there to sustain what they're doing, but is that working towards the big goal? So my thing is I believe you got to put some big lofty goals out there, and you got to take some big swings. And yes, there are some routine practices within there, but you're not going to get those big jumps in the process unless you take those big swings and believe you're capable of them.
yeah. So basically, to think big, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that the when comes to the mindset as well, right? We with starting the business, we think, okay, let's go step by step and let's don't take too much risk, right? But it's like you said, these bigger swings are to to reach the big contracts, right? Or something that and find the opportunities where somebody else is not looking at, right? Is where it can make a big difference for entrepreneurs. And then, okay, after you decided to take these big opportunities, right? So what is the step three?
It's to keep an eye on your path. So after you craft this brand, you create a plan for yourself where, I've got these routine things that I do on an ongoing basis. I'm going to take some big swings and try to hit these milestones. Then it's to track your progress, check in with yourself, calibrate often. We all kind of fall into this monkey see, monkey do type approach. And it's easy to just kind of look at, to the right or the left and start following the crowd. But if you do that, you become complacent. You're only doing what they're doing. And to shine, to break out front, to excel past that, you got to think bigger and you got to do your own thing. And part of that is, watching those metrics and making sure you're looking at, if what you're doing is working. Am I going to hit that big goal? Am I even close? And if not, what am I going to do? I got to shake it up. I got to do something different. I've even done things like, I'll get up, I'll take a quarter, I'll take Q3 of this year and I'll get up at 4 in the morning, 5 days a week for Q3 so that I can add another at least 2 hours, 4 hours to the beginning of my day when I know the competition's sleeping. So if I
Wow.
look at that for a whole quarter, 4 weeks in a month, like how many hours am I adding to my growth, to my strategy, to my plan to try to outshine and outdo the competition by just doing that one simple thing. And I mean, there's lots of things you can do like that, but you have to make those adjustments and make those sacrifices. Or if you adopt that monkey see, monkey do type attitude, you're just going to be like everybody else, and that's not the goal.
I agree with you. And let me add something regarding the competition, right? Because there is something that we as entrepreneurs, we have the freedom, right? And we adjust our time. And I think that back in the day, yeah, when we had the property business, right? I remember that in the month of December, right, where everybody's busy in Christmas, uh, it was amazing for us to acquire houses. Why? It's not because the is because the competition that was celebrated, they were the whole month busy with Christmas, or what they were busy with Christmas. We were taking a lot of houses, and again, it happened in the summertime. So we were actually looking forward for the month of summer or Christmas to arrive, not to celebrate Christmas or not to go for holiday, but we discovered when we built our first business that those months that the competition they're busy doing something else are the most powerful month that you can take market share.
Yep.
And we did this for a lot of years successfully. And so the whole point is how can you get ahead of the competition? And is like you said, can you be around when they are sleeping? Can you differentiate yourself in a different way? But always keep an eye that there are if you there are a certain pattern that everybody behave normally, even your competition.
Yep.
And if you can spot the gap when they are not around, it's a huge opportunity for growth. My
Well,
honest
take
opinion.
and take advantage of those opportunities and look for where the gaps are. Another
And
example of
get
this,
market share, right?
yeah, well, another example of this is that I see this with clients all the time where the pattern of their industry is they've got peaks and valleys and they've got busy times and whatever. And we come into it and we just follow it. We just do what everybody else is doing. And it's like, well, what if we got aggressive when everybody else went slow?
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
we know all our competition is holding on to their reserves and their cash, because as soon as we start to get busy, they're going to start ad spend and they're going to start trying to lean into the busy time. And it's like, well, we already know that that's going to happen. So what if we got aggressive on the slow time when they're taking a coffee break or whatever it is they're doing? Let's get
Exactly.
aggressive on the slow time and then build our foundation from there. And it's it's hard for people to understand that there's still opportunity there. But if you just follow the pattern, it's you're just at the mercy of, you just don't have as much control. You're at the mercy of what the industry does or the spending patterns of your competitors. And it's like, well, just don't spend when they spend when they don't spend, because then you own the spot.
Exactly. You can get market share. Yeah,
Yep.
this I think we discovered this by accident, right?
Yeah.
We
But
were
it's a mindset. Like you have to think that way. You know what I mean? Like,
and embrace it, right? Because I
yep.
think that is the first time that we saw that in Christmas is where we are. It's when we get in the most of the houses and more of the market penetration. But if we had the mindset, no, you know what, everybody's celebrating, so let's us celebrate again. I think we didn't grow a business as big as we managed. We sold over 5 million doing this, but it was on the other thing, the mindset. We embraced it and we were looking forward to
Well,
Christmas because we knew that every time that every year that Christmas come, every year that the summer, July and August come, in those months in particular, we were acquiring a lot of houses with the it was the we were renting houses as landing services. So the more property we have, the more money we can make, right?
yep.
And oh my God, there were lots of them available because of it. There is no stage, there is nobody there because everybody's celebrating, right? So it's about embracing, like you said, the slow uh, times when your competitor is sleeping, when your competitor is relaxed, when your competitor is on holiday.
Yep.
This is where the moment is for you to take market share, and this is the nature of business, right? Uh,
And in some ways, it's not like in my industry, everybody wants the $100,000 plus clients. Who doesn't? I get it.
of course, yeah.
But I'll take $10,000 clients or four 25,000,
There
because
you
if I
go.
do the math, they add up to 100. So I'll
Exactly.
I'll take those all day long, because
And
we're
nobody
we're
wants them, right?
right, no, we're neglecting them. We're
There you
saying,
go.
nah, I'm going after bigger fish. I'm leveling up. And it's like, okay, well then I'll take everybody you're neglecting. And not only will I get to the same place you are, but I'll probably pass you
Yeah,
because of
because
the
those one,
opportunity that you're leaving on the table.
no, maybe those one that they are taking you because they're taking you, they're gonna grow,
Yeah.
and it's gonna hit the mark and maybe more, and now you are already inside, right?
Yep. So it's just you just look to the dark corners and the gaps. Like look where other people aren't.
100%.
There's a lot of opportunity there.
Exactly. Where is the gap? How can you become creative? Yeah, and don't follow the general pattern that everybody else is following because this is your niche. This is
Yeah.
your we. I always say that the riches are in the niches, right?
100%.
Yeah. So 100%. Yeah, we have the very good way of thinking in business. Very good, very good. I think exactly the same like you. Yeah, and. So what will be the next step then, right? So after we can define how we are gonna get. I think we were talking about market penetration, right?
Yep.
How can you find that gap so you can penetrate the market and find the weakness of your competitor and be more open-minded, be more flexible, get out of the stereotypes. And if that requires to wake up 2 hours early, that requires to maybe you have to work on summer or in winter, everybody's Christmas, whatever it takes for you to get that market share initially that will keep you alive to you or to your employees. I think that's the main objective of
Yeah.
the of having a business. So then what will be the next step?
Yeah, so we kind of went from this idea of brand belief and kind of cultivating that to taking big swings and kind of setting the course for those milestones and those different ideas to kind of looking to the corners, finding those gaps. The next thing that is, it's all inherent in these things, but you have to maintain that personal touch. You have to maintain that experience. And if that experience isn't consistent throughout, you're you're hurting not only your present, but your future. Because in business, it's easy to forget that. It becomes transactional really quick. And again, yeah, we need money. The transaction's a real thing. I get it. But you have to really kind of covet and cherish those relationships, take care of the customer, treat them as though they want to, treat them just like you would want to be treated, and make sure that you're taking care of that experience and that relationship, because that not only gets you through the present, but it's going to pay you dividends in the future. And an
Exactly.
example of this, and I just had this conversation with somebody on my team where we had a discussion on my team about, somebody who pays, $10,000 a month versus $1,000 a month, and whether or not they get a different experience. And my answer was no, they don't get a different experience, because at the end of the day, the expectation is that they get really good work, they get quality. It's like if you go to a 5-star restaurant versus a McDonald's, the surface level experience is, I want some good food. That's it. And then as it breaks down from there, sure, there's a difference between a McDonald's hamburger and a 5-star restaurant. I'm not arguing that, but the client expectation, the customer perception, it's 100% exactly the same. They're walking through your door
To
looking
your
for a good
brand.
experience. Yep.
Exactly.
So whether they're $1,000 a month or $10,000 a month, they have to all be treated the same. They have to be cherished. They need to be treated as though they're the best customer you've ever had. I have a customer who, frequently refers to themselves as my best customer, and they're not. But I let them believe that.
Maybe
You know what I mean? Like,
they
I want them to feel that way,
yes, that's
So
very good. Yeah. And
yeah,
but the thing is that also when you have this personal touch, yeah, it's a little bit because let's say we treat very good the $1,000 customers, right? But you know what? There are two things that you can gain. I mean, number one, yeah, apart from what you can gain, is that actually they're walking into your door, they're walking into your brand. in what you represent, right? So, and that's that's what they're landing there on the first place. However, if they're $1,000 client, two things. Number one, yeah, this personal involvement from you guys and the way that you treat them can help them to grow the business. So today they're $1,000 clients. You don't know what's gonna happen
Yep.
when they get the right the right mentoring, the right advice from you guys. Yeah, they can grow really fast. That's number one. So you never know. And number two, if if you keep if you put the client first, right, that something magical is gonna happen, which is you're gonna have free referrals, which is something that is like this concept that we work a lot. Is like turn your clients into fans. Yeah, we have some clients from our workshop, speakers and leaders. We have some clients that have come to our workshop 5 times. I said to
Yep.
the people, look, you know the workshop better than me. You be attending the same training 5 times. How come? And regardless that they always have different experience because we facilitate the audience and everything, they also bring a lot of people with them. So
Yep.
the client is at the point that is turned. It went to the process from be a client to be a fan, right? Fan of your product, fan of your service, fan of what you had them out. And when you reach that point, something beautiful happen, amazing, is that then you can have a lot of referrals. Already your client is endorsing the product on your behalf, and when those clients land, they already know what experience they're about to expect, which is what you deliver anyway.
Yep.
and and then you can save a lot of money in customer acquisition, right? Something that nobody pays attention. A lot of people, we ask how much it's costing you to acquire a client. They don't even know what I'm talking about, or what number is it, right? So at the end of the day, being excellent and be true to your values and to your brand is something that can pay off for the business in the long term. And exactly, you never uh, uh, think that because a $1,000 client is a $1,000 client, it cannot bring a same value or even more than one big one. Saying that, the big clients, we need to treat them well because
Yep.
they have the income, and they also can grow, right? So yeah, and it also come. I think, Mike, with that process that you start to talk at the beginning, right? Building that brand that it doesn't matter who are you, it doesn't matter how much money you make. You arrive to this, you're gonna be treated with excellence. The right service will be provided to you, so um, you can build a nice branding, a nice social media campaign. Let's talk about that, Mike. So in your company, what can you help them? Let's say I'm a $1,000 client. I arrive to your shop. What can I get? What can you help me with?
Well, the first thing we do is we look at where every client, we try to meet them where they're at. So where are you at in the process? What is it you need? And we really start the conversation there. If it's a brand engagement, or if we need to just calibrate some things, or maybe you're already set up with a lot of those things and we just need to really start getting the brand out there from a social media standpoint. But we try to really, kind of put you where you're at so that we can benefit the business. Other agencies go out there and they sell websites or they sell services, or like, I can't sell something if I don't know what you need. So for me, it's really about figuring out what you need or where you're at and guiding you, to here's what I would do. I would do this first, and then I would do this. And then I try to guide them through the process so that hopefully they come out the other end stronger.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think if the process of building the brand never ends, right? But it's something that definitely, if it's done right, can make a huge difference in the business. because at the end of the day, 80% of us, we buy for what that brand represents.
Yep.
And our
Well, there's
buying behavior depends of that, right?
yeah, and this is, this is not a flattering statement, but everybody has to get over themselves because none of us do anything that people can't live without. Even Nike. I love Nike. I could stop
A
buying
great
Nike.
brand, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I love their products. I love their brand, everything. But if I just cold turkey stop buying Nike for the rest of my life, I'd be fine. I'd be okay.
Yeah,
It wouldn't hurt me one bit.
exactly.
We all have, people can live without CyberDogs. They can live with, I mean, we have to get over ourselves and realize that what we're putting out there, I'm not saying we're not putting out good products and we're not doing good work and we're not benefiting people, but this idea that like people can't live without us, you're kidding yourself. So the only way to really come at that is how do I make it so that they don't want to live without me? How do I make it so that I make their life better? How do I make it so that they don't live another day without thinking, man, I could use me some more cyber dogs. You know what I mean? Like
It never
you have to,
stops. It never stops. If
right.
somebody think that building the brand is something that they would do partially and they're gonna stop it at some point, this is building the brand never stop. At the moment that you stop, people will forget about you exactly.
Yep.
They won't even remember you, right? So it's the only thing that you always have to come up with new ideas, new ways to put the brand out there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about COVID. So you started in 2015, and then all of a sudden nobody can get out of the house. So if it was a challenge for you, it was or how do you navigate this challenge, or was the opposite? And it was very beneficial. So what was your take on the business because of COVID?
It was the opposite. So like when COVID first hit, we
Oh
met with
wow!
our clients to just, and let me back up. Even before COVID, we've always talked about the long-term commitment and we're always talking about how it's an ongoing thing. And I truly believe that a strong brand, building a foundation with your brand will help you sustain tough times. So fast forward again, COVID hits. Out of all of our clients that we work with, especially our retainer clients, nobody panicked. We just pivoted.
Wow!
So because of our commitment to the brand, because of the way we taught and educated and talked brand and foundation, and like yes, throughout the world, we're obviously going through this thing, right? But if I stick true to what I do, and if I take care of my people, and if I take care of my customers and all those different things, we should be fine. Like that was kind of the idea. And out of all my customers, I only had one client that said, you know what, we're going to press pause on marketing for right now
Wow!
because we're
Only
scared.
one.
Yeah, we only had one, and
That's
they
amazing.
actually came back a year later. But the point is I think that for most of at least my customers, their belief in the brand, their belief in what we were doing to sustain business and to keep it rolling. And again, not that they weren't rattled by it, they were, but
we all were, right?
but they didn't panic. They didn't pull out. They didn't, which I think says a lot about them. And for me personally, I had to lead by example with that because they asked me too, Mike, what are you going to do with your business? And my reply was, I'm going to put my foot on the gas. That's what I'm going to do. So,
and I think that people, I think when everyone is scared, they take their own decisions and they take it fast. And here in UK, everybody decided that was good idea because nobody will know what happened in the future to don't put more money in marketing and sales, and it's totally the opposite because how are you gonna get the client there?
we've since grown since then, but 2020 was our biggest year to date.
I believe you.
Like we grew in 2020 And it's, it feels weird to say that as though we capitalized on COVID, but it wasn't that. It was the fact that just the belief, the belief of what we're doing, the belief of our customers, the belief of what they were doing.
I
Like,
think that the strength was like because they were working with you and you managed to communicate effectively with them that it doesn't matter what at the end of the day, we all need clients and if they cannot get out of the house, they can get your product online. We can get them
yeah,
to the house, whatever happens. But at the end of the day, it's totally the opposite, right? If there is situation of uncertainty and everything, and you're running a business, more than ever you have to pay attention to marketing and to sales because this is the lifeblood of the business, and if you don't have the branding, the marketing, and sales as the priority in those tough times, is when the biggest challenges can happen because at the end of the day is it will become harder for this company. And I think that I think that people when they reduce budgets here in marketing and sales and branding because of the COVID, it was a huge mistake, and sadly most of the company couldn't come back after
yeah,
that.
well,
It
marketing's a
got totally wiped
momentum.
out because whoever did it and keep the money marketing and sales took market share, and when those companies want to come back, they couldn't.
It's kind of like we talked about earlier, though, that, it's this monkey see, monkey do type thing where there was a lot of gloom and doom in the media. There was a lot of gloom and doom out there about business, and everybody's
What
saying
was
like,
the
hey,
tendency in US? Same thing. A lot of
yeah,
people
same thing. Everybody's saying like, hey, you guys should panic. Everybody panic. And it's kind of like we talked about those peaks and valleys. I worked with my customers to go, okay, well, if 90% of your competitors and 90% of the businesses
panicking are
are out
panicking.
there panicking and they're going to shut it down, then step on the gas, hit it. Like, and keep in mind now, we can pivot quick. We can scale quick. We can give it 30 days, see what happens. We'll pivot if we need to, but like don't just shut it down because the news said so. Like, pay attention, we'll be fine, but we got to keep our heads about this. And I think that happened in a lot of industries where, this is a made up percentage, I have no idea, but it felt like 90% of these companies that panicked, they just did it off of knee-jerk reaction, and they got scared because of everything that was going on and the gloom and doom in the media and all this stuff. So for the 10-ish% that was left over that said, we're going to ride this out for a little bit, or I'm even going to step on the gas. Yeah, they saw amazing gains
Exactly.
because they just stuck with it. And yeah, I mean, and I chalk that all up to belief. And I think brand confidence for a lot of these guys who really, they know who they are. They're really committed to their business, and hey, we can work through this. Those who had that
Mindset.
strategic and mindset, they didn't waver, and I think they benefited greatly because of it.
Yeah. So in the is at the end of the day, yes, is what we're talking about. If I have a friend of mine that he loves crisis. Yeah, every time that you tell him, "Oh, it's a credit crunch is coming," every time that a crisis come, he's like, because when those crises come, then is a opportunity if you have the mindset that where is the opportunity in that crisis, what we need to repackage, what we need to 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 reinvent ourselves in order to get that market share, right? And
Yep.
then Mike, last thing, something funny that happened to you building your business when you were alone. Any story you want to share with us?
Something funny. I mean, this is what I'll share that I think it's maybe not funny, haha, but it's a funny observation, is the fact that I don't care how many entrepreneurs you talk to, and it's tough, and everybody talks about the grind, and everybody talks about all these things that go into it. But I think the observation or the funny that I would make in the whole thing is that it's no more or less fragile than working a 9 to 5 job. There's people all the time where businesses shut down, and there's people get fired or whatever the case may be, or there maybe even their position changes and they don't like their job anymore or whatever it is. It's, we feel more secure because we're getting that paycheck every 2 weeks, and there's a hierarchy and an establishment, and we feel like we're safe. So it's just a lot safer. And then entrepreneurship being this scary thing, people think you're a rebel or you're this huge risk taker, but if you really look at it, there's no more stability in one versus the other, because it's all about solving problems and figuring things out, and you're just kind of riding that train. And I guess the funny that I would say there is that I have conversations like that with people all the time, that I felt like I had a switch flipped in my head that kind of made me realize that 20 plus years into my career. But now that I know it, now that I recognize it, I could never see myself going back to that. I feel like I would be a 39-hour a week employee if I ever went back to that, because I prefer to drive my own initiatives and to drive my own. I don't know if that's funny, but it's the observation of it that I think is interesting, because
It
I
is.
talk with people all the time that just don't recognize it.
Yeah, I think that when we become entrepreneurs, right? We I remember the mother-in-law, one of the mother of my girlfriends, 17 years back when I started my career as an entrepreneur. Yeah, she was asking me, so what is your safety? So you want to be with this guy? So what is safe about this guy? I'm looking at me and say, well, I don't think that I'm planning to be an entrepreneur of my life, so safe is no word. However, I realized that it was a problem, because honestly, I thought that I was fine. I'm running my business, and we're making sales. Sometimes we make money, sometimes we lose money. We open another business, and we have different business, property, restaurants, you name it, right?
Yep, yep.
And one day I go to a bank and I decide to buy a house. I wanted to get a mortgage, and they told me no. They told me that I'm a risk, and they are more happy to lend the money to my employees than actually to myself.
Hmm.
And I think that if a bank is telling you that, and if you actually take this answer seriously, it can have a huge setback in your life as an entrepreneur. Like, am I actually a problem here? I'm creating the jobs. They have the salary because I provide that for them, and then they can buy the house, and I'm a risk for you. They said that way the employee can find another job, but if the company goes down, I cannot pay them back anyway. The whole point, the whole story. So yeah, we realized that at some point we were different, right? And it's embedded in a question, like how employable you are after certain time that your mind works in a different way, right? So I think that first of all, thank you so much, Mike, for your time, for your input, for sharing with our audiences, our listeners, your most important pillars of the success that your company has so far. If somebody is watching this interview, I want you to look for you guys to look at the brand, to look at the social media, to look at the how the impact they're doing in the world, how they can find you guys.
Yeah, they can check us out at cyberdogsmarketing.com, and that's CYBERDOGZ marketing.com. And we're on all the socials. The links are actually on our website, and we also have a podcast called Brand Retro, where we talk
Wow.
about all kinds of things, branding, entrepreneurship, and whatnot. So and just tidbit, like, we're actually going through one of our calibrations right now, where we're taking, basically 2024 and the remainder of the year to really calibrate our brand. and take it up a notch and to put more content out there. And, so that self-evaluation is not something I just recommend to my clients. I recommend it to myself. So,
so always calibrate, yeah? Always the
absolutely.
calibration, building the brand and calibrate the business, never stop, yeah?
Correct. Well, that's how you stay out of the rut. Because if you fall into that rut and it becomes routine, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Mike, for this amazing tip that you shared with us. And for all of you listening to the podcast, I think that today you have a master class about how you can find five pillar steps to grow your business as an entrepreneur. And if you guys want to have a rockstar branding, please contact Mike and the team. I'm very sure they can do an amazing job for you guys. So it's bye for now, and see you in our next podcast. Bye.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.